5 ways to make your marketing more inclusive with accessibility from Perkins Access. Hi, I'm Kelsey Bronski from the Perkins School for the Blind. Before I talk about accessibility, I want to thank Megan and her team for organizing such a wonderful event and including me in the agenda. I'm thrilled to share with you ways to improve your marketing so you can reach every student. For those of you who aren't familiar with Perkins, it's the oldest school for the blind in the United States. At Perkins, our mission is to prepare our students for the world. My team of accessibility experts, Perkins Access, prepares the world for our students. We do that by helping organizations become accessible so they can better serve people with a range of disabilities. I suspect many of you may have seen the Netflix series The Chair. For those of you who haven't seen it, The Chair focuses on a failing English department at a prestigious university. Sandra Oh plays the newly appointed and first female chair of the department, which has declining enrollment, out-of-touch professors, and an offensive lecture requiring university intervention. I know how hard your jobs are, and that any one of these things might cause you to share Sandra Oh's look of utter despair. Or it may cause you to start a fire in your office. Either way, the Netflix dramedy hits on why we're all here today. Students are more empowered than ever before, and when it comes to choosing where to enroll, they're looking for diversity, equity, and inclusion. Your marketing efforts need to align with the values your organization says they stand for. Providing accessible and therefore truly inclusive and equitable digital experiences is one important way to take a step in the right direction and show students that you walk the talk. So, what does inclusion mean for higher ed? It means that your organization has removed the barriers that limit the participation and achievement of all learners. Here's what I mean by barriers to inclusion. Think about a sidewalk with a curb. A curb blocks wheelchair users from accessing the sidewalk or crossing an intersection. When we're talking about barriers in digital marketing, accessibility barriers are key because your school can't be inclusive if it can't be accessed in the first place. For students with disabilities, it's as simple as that. It's very likely you don't know you're creating accessibility barriers. Let me show you some common barriers in marketing and it will start to become clear. When a prospective student looks to schedule a campus tour with a calendar feature like this, there are many potential accessibility barriers. One immediate barrier I can identify just by looking at this is that color alone is used to distinguish between the days on the calendar that are available and the ones that aren't. For students that are colorblind, distinguishing between certain colors like green, which is used here to show the available days, is difficult. There are an estimated 300 million people in the world who are colorblind. Let me put that 300 million into perspective. That's 1 in 12 men and 1 in 200 women. Using green to signify the available days isn't the only barrier. Look at the contrast between the white background with gray text and the green background with white text. The contrast is low, which is why this calendar would be difficult to read for people who are low vision or colorblind. We all have community or campus life pages on our websites. They're vital to a prospective student's college search. On one school's community page that overviews DEI, there's no mention of accessibility or people with disabilities. On that same page, there's a section of centers, programs, and offices. There are 8 groups listed. There's room for a 9th in the layout. That would be a great place to include disability services. Because if students with disabilities can't easily find information on how they'll be supported, they can't feel at home and they won't select your school. If you have a page on your site about DEI and you're not including resources for people with disabilities, you're missing out on a huge opportunity. Can you read this call to action? I had trouble reading some of it. It was possible, but it wasn't a great experience. Overlaying text on photos makes things difficult for people with low vision or cognitive disabilities. Financial information is essential for many prospective students, so don't hide it by making it difficult to read. Let's all pledge in 2022 that we won't overlay text on images anymore. How many times have you been asked to release an important statement on social with a graphic like this? I'm sure it's too many to count. Graphics on social that feature an excessive amount of copy are common. These graphics are what we call flat text or flattened copy. which means the text is now an image and information can't be read by assistive technology like a screen reader, which a student who is blind would use. Avoid sharing images on social with an excessive amount of text. Videos are part of everyone's marketing strategy, and the type of video I am about to show is extremely common. I know you'll be familiar with the style. Let's watch. Did you notice there's no audio of what's happening in the video? It's entirely visual. Videos like this not only exclude people who are blind or low vision, they miss anyone who's not giving your video 100% of their attention. During the pandemic, when campus visits are limited, videos are essential to getting a feel for student life. But when there's no audio and it's a montage of images and B-roll, the point of the video is really unclear. Now, despite your best intent, you probably fall into one or more of these 4 groups. They're based on some pretty common misconceptions about accessibility that I'm going to dispel right here and right now. The first is the learner. This is someone who just learned about accessibility and hasn't had a chance to do anything yet. This was me in 2014 when I first joined Perkins. The second is the assumer. This is someone who thinks accessibility is someone else's job. If you think someone else is going to do it, you prohibit your organization from being truly accessible. Because if inclusion is an org-wide commitment, accessibility needs to be an org-wide responsibility. The procrastinator is someone who thinks that doesn't fit in now, but we can do it later. Accessibility shouldn't be an add-on or an afterthought. It's more cost-effective and efficient when it's built in. And last, and in my opinion, the biggest offender is the underestimator, which is someone who thinks accessibility will only impact a small percent of the population. Accessibility benefits people with all types of disabilities, and it benefits everyone, now, temporarily, and in the future. People with disabilities make up one of the nation's largest groups, and it's the only group any one of us can become a member of at any time. So, underestimators, listen up. There are 61 million adults in the US with a disability. That's 1 in 4 people. 11% of undergraduate students in the US register a disability with their school. But the actual number of college students with a disability is probably 2 or 3 times higher, because nearly 66% of undergraduate students who received accommodations in high school do not disclose their disability when they get to college. Now that you know what barriers are and who they impact, let's get into how accessibility can help you remove those barriers. Here's what I mean by accessibility. Curb cuts not only give necessary access to wheelchair users, they make it easier for people pushing strollers, using crutches, or rolling a suitcase behind them. Curb cuts are such great examples of accessibility that there's something called the curb cut effect, which states that when you design for disabilities, you make things better for everyone in the process. Now, as promised, it's time to learn 5 tips to improve your marketing's accessibility and inclusion. Color is an important part of marketing, and it's an important part of being accessible. Providing sufficient contrast between text and background colors helps people with low contrast sensitivity, color blindness, and low vision easily distinguish your copy. Contrast also helps when the conditions are less than ideal, like a really sunny day with lots of glare. Here's a cell phone where the content on the screen is hard to read due to low contrast and high sunlight. Next to it is the same screen, the same amount of sunlight, but the content has a better contrast ratio, so it's easier to read. As a marketer, I know how difficult it can be to change something like your color palette, style guide, or branding, which is why rebranding or a website redesign is a great time to build accessibility in. When you're selecting background colors and text colors, there are plenty of free online tools you can use to check that the color combination is appropriate. After the conference, check your own school's contrast. Start with your homepage and see if your color combinations are accessible or if they need some work. 2 in 5 students use social media to decide which college to attend. which makes the accessibility of your posts really important. One really easy way to improve your social posts is to capitalize the first letter of each word in your hashtags. This is also called camel case, and it makes your hashtags easier to read, especially for people with low vision or cognitive disabilities. This Instagram post shows hashtag low vision, where the L and the V are capitalized. I have faith each and every one of you can make this change for all of your posts going forward. Emojis are awesome. I'm sure that you're using them, but my tip is to save them for the end of your posts because when they're in the middle or repetitive, they create a bad user experience for screen reader users. Here, the emoji at the end of this tweet reads clapping hand sign. Imagine clapping hand sign wasn't at the end of the post and it was between every word in a sentence. It, clapping hand sign, would, clapping hand sign, be, clapping hand sign, pretty, clapping hand sign, annoying, and difficult to understand for someone using a screen reader. I know you're going to use text on social graphics. I am too, but be selective when choosing that text. I aim for 100 characters or less. The amount of text shown here works well. The image says, education is a human right, and the post covers the point of the image and links to a longer accessible statement. You may not know this, but you have the power to add alternative text across all of your social posts. Alternative text, also called alt text, is a description of the information or function represented in an image. The 3 simple rules I follow to get alt text right are put the most important information at the beginning, keep it concise, and don't include words like image, icon, or picture. Alt text for this tweet's image reads 2021 Perkins School for the Blind graduates wearing blue graduation caps and gowns. With videos, there are 3 accessibility activities to build into your process. It's important to update legacy content and create accessible content going forward. You can prioritize the most important videos first as you make your way through your content library. I recommend always providing captions on your videos. Captions are essential to people who are deaf, and they're helpful for everyone. Make sure your captions are human authored so they're accurate. Another easy way to improve your video accessibility is to make transcripts available. A transcript provides the audio and visual information in text form and may be the preferred format for anyone who is blind, deaf, hard of hearing, or processes text better than audio. And if you really want to offer fully accessible videos, add audio description. Audio description describes visual information needed to understand the video's content, including any text displayed. Audio description is hugely beneficial to people who are blind and others who cannot see your video. Let's hear audio description in action with this Get to Know Perkins Access video.
The sun rises over the Boston skyline.
At Perkins Access, digital accessibility is more than just what we do. It's what we believe in.
2 people walk with a rainbow flag.
Digital accessibility is about equal access, and that's what inspires us. Born out of the innovation at Perkins School for the Blind, Perkins Access is a trusted partner with an unparalleled culture of excellence and inclusion.
Gary Assant, Director, Perkins Access Consulting.
A lot of people don't realize how difficult it is for people with disabilities to navigate the digital world.
A girl who is blind smiles while using a smartphone.
Accessibility really makes a difference to people and to the world.
A man with a white cane uses a smartphone while speaking with a woman. In an office, a man in a wheelchair works at a computer.
An accessible experience is really a better experience not only for people with disabilities, but for every customer.
When you work with Perkins Access, you'll be working with a true partner. We want to help you make digital accessibility part of your everyday, not just one project.
A young woman who is blind uses a smartphone. Jennifer Segalan, Director of Strategic Partnerships.
We're part of Perkins, an organization that knows what it takes to create an inclusive environment, and we share that knowledge with our clients. They learn how to tackle accessibility with purpose and how to support their users with disabilities now and in the future. When our clients succeed, we succeed.
At Perkins Access, we're transforming the digital experience. Because above all, we're committed to making the world accessible for everyone, today, tomorrow, and beyond.
A man walks with a guide dog.
Learn more. PerkinsAccess.org.
I highly recommend when you get back from the conference and you go to Netflix or Hulu for your next binge, maybe to watch or rewatch The Chair, go into the settings and turn on audio description to hear it in action. Everyone's experienced really good online forms and really bad ones. Sometimes they're so bad, we give up. For someone who is blind or visually impaired, this can be a daily occurrence. There are a couple of ways to improve your forms for everyone. Here I'm showing a contact form that uses floating labels and autofill. We love floating labels at Perkins Access because they don't disappear when the field receives focus or has information added. This benefits all users, particularly those with cognitive or memory disabilities and people with low vision. And everyone loves autofill. Autofill allows users who have stored information in their browsers to more easily complete the form, which is beneficial to users with limited mobility. Autofill can also help prevent mistakes and formatting errors. My final and most important tip is to be strategic about accessibility. Accessibility needs to be an organization-wide commitment, and it needs an accessibility champion to help drive it forward. From your marketing to your procurement and all of your digital interfaces, accessibility is not only the right thing to do, it's the law. And it's one tangible way to make an impact and show your students and the world that you don't just talk about your values, you live them. To give you a sense of the scope of accessibility beyond marketing and across an organization, I wanted to share a few of the clients that we've worked with who are embracing accessibility. We're working with America's Test Kitchen to improve the accessibility of their online recipes and videos so everyone can make delicious food and be a home cook. We partnered with the Biden for President campaign to improve their accessibility so all voters could access key information. We then worked with the Presidential Inaugural Committee on the most accessible inauguration in history. When Spalding Rehabilitation Network redesigned their website, they brought Perkins Access in to create a patient-first experience for all patients, regardless of ability. And an organization many of you may work with, Cengage, is partnered with us to deliver quality learning experiences to all learners. I hope these examples help bring accessibility to life for you. If I've convinced you to become an accessibility champion, use my 5 marketing tips to improve your inclusion and accessibility. Check to make sure color contrast is appropriate. Make your social posts accessible with camel case hashtags, emojis at the end, limited flat text on images, and alternative text for images. Make your videos accessible with captions, transcripts, and audio description. Provide accessible forms with floating labels and autofill capabilities, and most importantly, have an organization-wide strategy. Remember, inclusion means removing barriers that limit participation and achievement. I hope your viewpoint on inclusion has been broadened today. Let's all work on lowering barriers at our organizations. Thank you, Carnegie Dartlet, for putting on this excellent event, and thanks to each and every one of you in the audience for taking the time to learn more about accessibility. At Perkins, we know you can't know everything when it comes to accessibility. That's why Perkins Access exists. We're a nonprofit, and our experts are here to guide you. We work with many leading organizations in higher ed, and we'd love to work with you. You can email me at kelsey.bronsky@perkins.org if you want me to share this deck with you or you'd like to talk about improving accessibility at your institution. And please follow us on social at Perkins_access. Thank you. 5 ways to make your marketing more inclusive with accessibility from Perkins Access.